Hi, this is Rochester City Council member Michael Wojcik, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about the letter that the school district sent me, the history of the Kramer site donation in the Northwest, and hopefully put this thing to bed a little bit. I think there are some folks in the media who have really tried to blow this thing up quite a bit, but I think a lot of this was litigated long ago when a lot of different outlets reported that there was this donation of land that the city council, the city, the public had no idea about because it was just kind of swept under the rug. Now, the statement that I made online, and I still believe to be correct in a tweet, is that the superintendent hid this information not only from the public and the city, and we know that to be true, but also the school board. The school board is saying vehemently that that is not the case. But one thing in my investigation with the state, we obviously have the tools now to find out what is and is not true. And if in fact the school board was part of hiding that information from us, I mean it's a different problem. But I'm happy to correct my original statement if that's the case. The letter has struck me in a lot of ways. First of all, it's just silly. I tweet on local, state, federal politics all the time, my opinions on things, and it's certainly my opinion that it was not appropriate to extend Superintendent Munoz's contract. I think that there are a lot of big issues that he doesn't seem to be able to make any progress on, whether it's racial inequities in our schools or transportation costs or just the fact that our middle school and high school kids don't have a healthy start time. Still, we talk about these things forever, but we never make any progress in the solutions. I have a great deal of respect for some of my colleagues on the school board. In particular, I think Kathy Nathan, Julie Workman, Melissa Amundsen are really, really outstanding leaders. A little bit of this is I'd like to call on them to step it up a little bit in the area of transparency, because as you're going to read, there's a lot of things that just aren't right about how this went down. So I said this was a silly note, and part of the reason why I say it's a silly note is that all the time there's comments going back and forth on social media. To actually take that and take the time to do a formal written response from the district to a political tweet where I was talking about not supporting people who are willing to extend Munoz's contract, that seems like a pretty big overkill. And I think if you go back to William Shakespeare and the quote that the lady doth protest too much, methinks, I think that's a little bit of what we're seeing going on right here, is that the letter that I received from the district seems so wildly out of proportion that obviously I wondered if there was if it hit a little bit too close to home. Additionally, there were things contained in that letter that pretty clearly indicate a number of violations of Minnesota's open meeting law. This is a big deal for me. I fought the previous mayor, the previous administrator to get rid of those dinner meetings, get rid of meetings that weren't recorded, because there was just so much stuff that went on behind closed doors that the public had a right to see. And literally the first meeting that we had a new mayor, we passed the Transparency Act that Nick Campion and I wrote together, and now that is the law of the land. So we've really addressed these issues in the city, and I think the school board needs to take a hard look at themselves and show some of the same kind of leadership the city of Rochester showed. I do care a lot about these issues, and one thing you've heard me say in forums is that anyone who's running for county or state or city council who doesn't think the schools are partially their responsibility is not a very good leader, because the schools are all of our responsibility, in particular with the some of the racial imbalances and transportation things. I think that how the city approves infrastructure and sites is has a huge play into how we address those problems. So what I did, and like I said, I'm largely going to close the book on this, but I did put a lot of the information out on my website, votewojak.org. If you like somebody who believes in transparency, and if you like somebody who is willing to dig into these issues and is not afraid of standing up on principle, I'd love to have your support for re-election. I will say that there is a donate. You can Venmo to my campaign, or you can there's a donate button on the website, and the Minnesota open meeting law is Minnesota State Statute 13. So if you donate any dollar ending with a 13 cents, I'll know exactly why it is that you're giving. I encourage everybody to go out and just read the various things that I believe were done wrong by the school district in terms of breaking the open meeting law, but also to make this super easy for media, because it's pretty clear that some folks in the media are digging into this and doing their jobs. Other folks, maybe not so much. I actually created a Data Practice Act request that anybody can cut and paste and send to the superintendent. The one thing that came out of this letter that's perfectly clear is that the school district owes us all audio recordings of every single meeting they've had to discuss this property. So there's been a lot of he said, she said going on, but we don't need to speculate because we're all going to get to hear the audio recording. It's explained in detail at votewojak.org, but I'm going to largely hand this off to the media now and let them do their thing. But what appears to have happened at the school district with the superintendent and school board is not right, and in particular, a lot of times you can have good people that don't necessarily take on challenges as actively as they should. And I specifically would call on Kathy Nathan, Julie Workman, and Melissa Amundsen to really show some leadership in this regard and get all this stuff out on the record so we're not speculating anymore. There's nothing that's going to destroy relationships more than a lack of trust, and my commitment to everyone in this community is unbridled honesty when it comes to these issues. So thank you for watching, and let's move on to the next topic.